Welcome to D-Transit and to another This Week in Transit video. Today we'll be covering MBTA's South Coast Railway extension in Massachusetts, Virginia's train boom, Utah's TRAX light rail extension, and two important pieces of news from New York and San Francisco. Be sure to leave a comment if you enjoyed the video. This series is new, so I'd love to know how you all are receiving this video style. Our first piece of news takes us to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, where Boston-centered commuter rail operator MBTA has announced the opening date for its new South Coast Rail. South Coast Rail is a project that creates a new southern line of the commuter rail system to the cities of Taunton, Fall River, and New Bedford via several abandoned and freight-only rail lines. The last time these cities saw rail service was in 1958. When the New York, New Haven, and Hartford Railroad terminated their rail service, following the construction of interstate highways and Massachusetts Route 24. Right now, the Middleborough-Lakeville line runs to Middleborough-Lakeville Station. Phase 1 of the project will extend the Middleborough line to the Middleborough Secondary Rail Junction, closing the existing Middleborough-Lakeville Station to MBTA commuter rail service and opening a new Middleborough station. From there, the line will run west after joining the Middleborough Secondary Rail Junction before turning south in Taunton at the Cotley Junction. A new station will open in East Taunton before the line splits into two branches, the Fall River branch with a station in Fall River and one in Freetown, and the New Bedford branch, which opens two new stations in New Bedford. This phase is projected to open on March 25th, subject to FRA approvals. Phase 2 would see the line instead become an extension of the Stoughton branch of the Providence-Stoughton line, which connects to the Northeast Corridor. The South Coast Rail extension is a welcome addition to an area of Massachusetts that has been devoid of rail service for quite some time. Linking the cities of New Bedford, Taunton, and Fall River with Boston will relieve traffic on parallel roadways and open new coastal destinations for tourists along Massachusetts' south coast. The new trackage was also designed to support a max speed of 80 miles per hour, which did elongate construction times but will ultimately benefit travel times. Doubts also arise with the postponement of Phase 2, which would connect the line with Stoughton and the Northeast Corridor via a new line, and would be mostly electrified. Overall, it's excellent news for the South Coast communities, and yet another showing of MBTA's further commitment to progress, building on their earlier removal of slow zones from their T subway system in Boston. Our next piece of news takes us to Virginia, a state that isn't always famous for transit news, but Virginia has been ramping up their game in recent times, and that is reflected through their ridership data. Virginia's state-supported Amtrak trains set an all-time yearly record in 2024, with 1.3 million people using the services within the calendar year in the state, the highest since Virginia-supported Amtrak services began in 2009. These state-supported routes all fall under Amtrak's Northeast Regional brand. The state-supported portions are the extensions of the service from Washington Union Station in D.C. to Richmond Main Street, Newport News, Norfolk, and Roanoke, totaling 15 round trips per week from these destinations collectively. VRE, Virginia's regional rail system that connects Manassas and Fredericksburg with Washington, D.C., also reported an 8.4% increase in ridership, up to 1.5 million riders in 2024, but still far below pre-pandemic numbers. Virginia's growth isn't likely to stop soon either. A $2.3 billion infrastructure program was recently approved in Virginia, which would purchase upwards of 600 miles of rail and right-of-way from CSX. Much of this trackage sees heavy freight usage alongside Northeast Regional and VRE commuter passenger services. Both passenger services are also heavily restricted by the CSX ownership and freight usage, which means that VRE only runs peak direction rush hour service, and Northeast Regional trains are limited in their frequency. Through their infrastructure program, Virginia looks to widen the trackage to 3-track lines, which allows freight and passenger trains to run with less interactions. This would double Amtrak's service between Washington and Richmond and expand VRE service to Saturdays. Now, let's head out to the Rockies and to Salt Lake City in Utah. Utah's TRAX light rail system is the primary light rail system serving the SLC downtown and surrounding areas and Salt Lake City International Airport. In 2024, TRAX saw a 26.5% increase in ridership, up to 13.5 million people. This reflected a system-wide increase of 15.5% across all Utah Transit Authority services, including buses, their frontrunner commuter rail, S-Line streetcar services in Salt Lake City, and microtransit. The main piece of news in Utah is a decision in their Orange Line extension project. The project would build new track along the east-west University Boulevard and north-south 400 West Road, both west of State Street. The project would also see a new Orange Line created, running from University of Utah's campus to Salt Lake City's airport. After serving 2 new stations at its eastern end, it would join the Red Line to use existing trackage until Main Street, where it would continue west on new trackage, then turn north, serving 3 new stations in the process, then connect with the Green Line and continue to the airport. The Red Line would also make usage of this extension westward, instead heading south along 400 West before joining with the main line along 200 West near Ballpark Station. Now we'll head further west to San Francisco, where BART's police department reported a decrease in crime in 2024, down 17% from 2023's numbers. This comes amidst a substantial increase in ridership, as BART saw 2.6 million more riders in 2024 than in 2023. It's a subtle statistic, but I wanted to highlight it considering BART's often negative public image. If you want to learn more about BART's resurgence and improvements in recent years, be sure to check out my video on their system that I did recently. I'll leave the link in the description. Our last piece of news takes us back to New York City, where the Gateway Development Commission has awarded a $1.18 billion contract for the Manhattan Tunnel. The Gateway Commission is leading the Gateway Program, a revitalization project of the Northeast Corridor. They're responsible for the 4th track addition in New Jersey Meadowlands, the replacement of the Portal Bridge, the addition of 2 new underwater tunnels under the Hudson River, amongst much more. This specific contract relates to the Manhattan side of the new Hudson Tunnel project. The selected constructor will build 213 meters of twin tunnels outward from the Manhattan bulkhead in the Hudson River to the Hudson Yards concrete casing near 12th Avenue. It's an incredibly tricky project due to the soft soil and sediment around and below Manhattan, which makes building tunnels extremely complicated. In any event, the awarding of this contract marks a big step forward for the program, which will double capacity at one of the biggest choke points of the Northeast Corridor, increasing Amtrak service up and down the entire line while boosting New Jersey Transit service as well. And with that, we come to a close on This Week in Transit. Let me know what you think about this new series in the comments below. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. If you think I missed anything, please let me know in the comments and I'll try to cover it next week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.